Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck happening to the YouTube atheist community, and that's it. Yeah, for now. Gardening, yes, garden, garden, doing well. Fluffy and such stuff happening. Anyway, so yes, I'm over the Lyme disease. Thank you, amoxicillin. But the ears are still nothing happening. I don't think it's serious. I think it's just from the swimmer's ear or whatever. It just happened to coincidentally, get bad when the rest got good. So whatever, At worst, the temperature did go up to 102.3 or whatever. So yesterday was sort of a miserable day, but getting better days, that was good. I don't know what else I wanted to correct. There was some kind of mistake. Oh yeah, I implied that I didn't have symptoms before. The first time I had Lyme disease, I had terrible symptoms, 104-degree temperature, just horrible. And, these were almost as bad, the symptoms, but didn't last as long because I knew it was Lyme disease, so, I got the amoxicillin sooner. Anyway, it's just always a little startling in one's life. It's just such a stark transition, to be so bad one day and so much better the next day. It's just so, it's always a little disconnecting. So anyway, Vlogodome is, I guess, the big story of the week. Is the final episode. Seems to me, is a pretty good episode. And, yeah, it was good. Sort of related to that is the Mike Bayul, released sort of, I don't like pink, but that's sort of a nice one. A CD, of his music, and he rags on himself a lot. He's pretty self-deprecating, insecure, however you want to look at that one. It's always hard to tell when somebody's being, hard on themselves just to be humble, and when somebody's being hard on themselves because they actually hate themselves, or when, whatever. You can psychologically always analyze that kind of stuff. I've always had sort of a problem that way. Just because I grew up very insecure, and I've become very secure in a lot of things, and so, but I still have the internal clock of, an insecure person. The same thing with height. I used to be short, and, I got tall, and, the world gets very different, depending on what your status is. Regarding these things. Yeah, small penis, then I have big penis. I'm just saying, it's just, it changes your circumstance, it changes your perspective sometimes. And so the good news is because I've been, in my mind, different things, I have an appreciation for that syndrome, how much we're colored and tainted in our perspective. So I guess that sort of brings up a Professor Anton video. He made a response, I think it's to sort of a Matt conversation. Matt was talking about race and, doing it in a humble white man way. White man talking about race, and, like that's already troublesome. That's sort of nice. I shouldn't have made it move though. Stripey. Interesting. For a plain flower. So, Professor Anton's a little bit wordy, and but sort of a theme I got out of what he was saying was that sometimes the real victims of something are sort of the frauds, and it's the people who understand it for a principle or understand it in some deeper way. The people who are giving up something or sacrificing something for which they have no personal interest, so they don't need to for any reason besides their own principles, and they recognize that there's a wrong and they want to make it right, kind of a thing, versus these kind of sometimes freeloader types who, you know, are kind of almost in a position where they're just looking like they're out for an entitlement. They've done nothing for the cause. They've sacrificed nothing. It's like the Obama black man kind of thing. He's never really been a black man in a serious way. You know, there's a kind of lack of authenticity to description and what qualifies you. I suppose I would sort of say that about Native Americans who think they're entitled to something that we all would like. You know, I would like my own country too. But we all lost that war, in a way. And you just can't, you're not entitled to something that none of us are entitled to. You know, we're not allowed to say, oh yeah, I want all the privileges of, and the security and the safety of being in America, you know, but I want to be able to do whatever the fuck I want. And you're just not entitled to that. So it's a nice daydream. Boy, the frickin' slugs did a number on this one. Whoa. Yeah, I gotta put that plant someplace else. You know, these guys, it's always one thing. If it's not one thing, it's another, as they say. You know, weeds or slugs or some other bug. And, you know, they just chew everything to pieces. Oh, fuck. Alright, I can't pull weeds while I do videos. That's probably not a brilliant plan. Yeah. Look at these weeds are pulling all the moisture out of this pond, so I really do have to get them out of here so this plant will grow properly. Oh, yeah, that one's deep. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, I don't want to talk that subject to death. I mean, but that's all this politics stuff and all this advocacy stuff. How much of it's genuine? How much of it's self-interest? You know, what's in it for me kind of bullshit, rather than what's the principle, you know, how do you really correct for a past wrong? Can you really do that except to prevent the wrong? You really can't. I mean, the idea of giving the children of the victim bonus is hardly the right way to fix the problem. Except if, you know, they obviously need sustenance and all that kind of stuff, but this whole idea of turning it into some sort of lottery. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the best thing that can happen to you is be born to a cop and have him get shot, and then you're instantly rich. You know, so yeah, it's, you know, that's probably the way to go. This one in, like this flower, it's nice and red and such. Lots of buds on it and such too. Anyway, so what else is news? Let's see if I can remember stuff. Let's see, okay, there's Mike and Dee, and then the Dee was very cute. Yeah, so again, I'm just being chauvinistic, right? Yeah, she did that girl thing excellent. She said something and then she sat in the background and looked great. Anyway, stuff does stick in my memory. But that's part of the thing you're trying to get to, too, with philosophy. It's just how we're so distracted, you know, by these personal triggers. You know, and you just can't undo that. You have to just acknowledge its existence and compensate for it. So I suppose that's the issue with race, is you can't undo the fact that you find things cute or pleasant, and you find certain other things grating and irritating. Like I could argue I find most black culture irritating. I couldn't eat what they eat. I couldn't listen to all the noise and the blah blah blah, you know, conversation would drive me insane. yeah, I couldn't get with that program on a subjective, personal level. But I know that's just a personal taste. It has nothing to do with legitimacy or integrity. It just has to do with me. Um, so yeah, always end up making a video about something when I don't really intend to. So I mean, I was just thinking about what you do, you know, because it's always, the ideal is just to do this Martin Luther King thing, you know, content, character over cosmetics. Um, but unfortunately, what you run into in real life is you don't have time to judge a man by his character. You just don't. You know, and if you do have it, and the character ends up being something stupid like your credit score, you can't really find out how deep someone's character goes or their image of character. They can give you a firm handshake, and still this means absolutely nothing. So, you know, life is difficult. Um, I mean, there's difficult challenges to overcome in trying to act on principle. Yeah. It's not always easy. Um, yeah, so that's all. What else? I know there was some other crap going on. Unfortunately, I can't remember it. Alright, so yeah, the rest is just me arguing with the same assholes again. Hafla Day and now Logic rolls the dice. I got some stuff to work with. I suppose the good thing about Logic rolls the dice, it responses to him, because I sort of get to Vic through him, because Vic thinks everything he says is brilliant. So when I'm humiliating Logic rolls the dice, I'm really humiliating Vic, which is good. Because Vic doesn't seem to endorse what Hotla Day is arguing. So it seems like Vic's smart enough to figure out that the world or anything is something, you could use the line, it's infinitely better, you know, if someone else is suffering, doesn't really go anywhere as a statement. Because nobody thinks in terms of to me. I mean, nobody, you don't go through life going to me all the time, you know, to make sure everybody knows that you're just talking about what's to your benefit. You know, you say things and you expect people to understand that it's an in the world circumstance. And so I think Vic's at least smart enough to say, well, that's too poorly worded. You know, if you're going to be a criminal against logic, you're going to have to be a little more clever than that and use phrases that are a little more carefully chosen than it's infinitely better, you know, for someone else to suffer than you. So that just sounds like you're too stupid. That's what that sounds like. You're just way too stupid if you think that's even remotely possible. Remotely. So anyway, let's see if there's anything else. This lily, the second flower, turned out as poorly as the first one. So this will be put in the clunker pile. I have to give it away. Yeah, I'll give that one away to somebody. That lily's retarded. Yeah, someone else can raise that autistic child. Anyway, well, not as much else. Just, you know, trying to feel normal, and I can't until my damn hearing comes back. I mean, it's nice to feel good, you know, not feel sick, but it sucks that I can't feel normal because I can't hear anything. There was shit going on here with the front. Oh, well, anyway, there was just some bullshit politics with people. And it was just kind of funny because, you know, I can't hear, so I couldn't hear the phone, nor could I hear the people knocking on my door, and it's just kind of funny. Yeah, sort of. But it all worked out for the spine and blah, 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 so no great tragedy. Those things need water badly. I gotta plant them, so I gotta choose where to plant them. They can't be living in a little tiny pot. So anyway, there's not much else to, I really don't need to go walking about. Yeah, so everything's okay-ish, and yeah, yeah. So I think that's all. Let me just think. Forgetting something. Yeah, I just don't know what it would be. I mean, I will know when I remember, but I'm not at the computer, so I can't just look at it and go, oh yeah, there was that video. So I don't have that to work with. Anyway, so sorry if the audio is inconsistent. I really can't tell how loud I'm talking, and so soon to be repaired, hopefully. So till next time. Oh yeah, some guy left some comment. He wanted to know a whole bunch of shit about my personal life and all that kind of crap. Somebody emailed me and wants me to give them some sort of written response about, like somehow this stuff matters, and I really don't think it matters. But I mean, I really have gone over this, and it's really kind of simple. I really had my childhood was not exceptional in any way. My parents didn't abuse me in any way. There was no horrid thing that happened. I just happened to be kind of cynical from the first day I was hatched, and life never really made a whole lot of sense. It never did, it never will, and it never has, and I think that's just the way it is, because I don't think life does make any sense, and so it shouldn't make any sense. I don't think my reaction was abnormal, but my reaction, I don't think, was wrong, in the sense that I just found the whole idea of the vulnerability. I mean, you ask people a question why something happens, and they say something like God's will, and you're like, well, why does God will that kind of shit? And it's just, you don't get a good answer. Hey, he willed that guy to have one leg, and that guy just died of cancer. Why do he will that? Why doesn't he will Fruit Loops for everybody? So as soon as you start asking why, you're not going to get a good answer. There are no good answers. The answers are all shitty answers. They're all shitty answers in the sense the answer is going to be something not good. It's not going to be a happy story about how wonderful everything is. It's going to be a crappy story about how everything's run by stupid DNA molecules. So anyway, one more try. Keep trying to make the ear work. So anyway, till next time.